Namaskar. Uh, Let me begin by greeting President of Indian Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Agarwal. I believe Dr. Shantul Hussain, member of Rajya Sabha, is also here. I want to wish all my colleagues from various ministries, Ministry of Health, External Affairs, and my ambassador colleagues from various places who are joining this event today. Very good afternoon, good morning from Argentina. And I must say that I am perhaps the farthest speaker in this conference. I'm speaking from Buenos Aires in Argentina, the capital of Argentina, which is about 16,000 kilometers away from India. But of course, Argentina is fairly well known in India. The moment you talk about Argentina, any Indian would respond with the various answers. Of course, a lot of people will say it's a country close to Antarctica. Some people might say tango. Some people might say fun-loving people. And of course, let's not forget Maradona, Messi, and football. And of course, in the last 48 hours, Argentina has been celebrating. Last 72 to 96 hours, Argentina has been celebrating the victory over Brazil in Copa America, one of the most important football tournaments in the world. The whole country is drowned with ecstatic pleasure. And of course, Argentina is not known in India for many other reasons, for which it should have been known. And I must say that Argentina became independent in 1816 when Britishers were still fighting with the last Mughal in India. So it has an independent history of more than 200 years. In fact, this weekend on Friday, on 9th of July, they celebrated their 205th anniversary of the independence. It has been a fairly rich country throughout, based on agriculture and mining, and export-oriented economy. It was already among the 25 wealthiest countries as per GDP per capita in 19th century. In 1908, it had already turned into the 7th largest economy in terms of GDP per capita, just after Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia, US, UK, and Belgium. In fact, it had transcended Denmark, Canada, and Netherlands, the richer countries at that time. Of course, it started laying its railway network in 1868, and it became the first. The Buenos Aires became the first city to get the subway metro system in 1913, and of course, soon after, the New York subway was inaugurated in 1904. So, what I want to highlight is that Argentina has been a rich, developed country. Except in the last couple of decades when things have taken not so welcome turn in Argentina, and the economy has faced several issues. But in spite of that, I must say that Argentina is a very vast market. It comprises people who have the spending power, and of course, India and Argentina have been collaborating very well on political, economic, commercial fields. I must say that the recent visits in the last 3 years of Prime Minister Modi to Argentina in 2018, and followed by the visit of the then Prime Minister of Argentina, President of Argentina to India in 2019 February, created a wonderful atmosphere to deepen our relationship. In the last visit, the relationship between the two countries were elevated to the level of strategic partnership, giving more opportunities to both sides to expand and deepen our relations. The two countries are very vibrant democracies. Of course, India and Argentina also have a similarity in terms of very wide geography. India is the 7th largest country in the world. Argentina is the 8th largest country in the world in terms of geographical area. But of course, Argentina has a very small population of 45 million, about 1/30th the size of India's population. But both countries are members of G20. They collaborate very well at the multilateral fora at the United Nations. India and Argentina trade has been gradually going up. In the last few years, the trade has really shown very optimistic trend. In the year 2020, India and Argentina trade touched a new peak of $3.3 billion, out of which 2.5 billion is Argentina's export. India's export was very little compared to their exports. We exported just about $800 million. There are several areas where a lot of work has been done and is being done, and it's required to be done, of course. And we have, of course, identified several sectors from agriculture, which are very promising, to energy, to mining, to lithium, to information technology. And of course, we are looking at newer areas of handicrafts, plastic, or petrochemicals, and so on and so forth. But I think today's conference, today's program is basically on healthcare, and I must speak a bit about the healthcare and pharma sector, in which the trade between the two countries has been rather limited. We, of course, have presence of an Indian pharmaceutical company, Glenmark in Argentina, which established its production more than 10 years back. But there are not many Indian pharmaceutical companies which are focused on Argentina. And I think it's a market which needs a little more focus, a little more attention from Indian pharmaceutical industry. And we have been trying to, of course, push for Maxil to bring our delegation of pharmaceutical industry, healthcare industry of India to Argentina. And of course, the pandemic has changed the equation. Last year, we were trying to get this delegation in the month of August, but then in the month of March, everything changed because of the pandemic, because of the quarantine issues all over the world. And my suggestion would be that we should focus on this sector, which is, as per the EIU report, it's a $7.5 billion industry in Argentina. Argentina imports almost $2 billion worth of pharmaceuticals, medicines, healthcare products from all around the world. And I must say that our share has been rather minimal in this overall import of Argentina. We have been in the vicinity of $30 to $50 million only per annum, exporting primarily the APIs and some of the basic products. In the course of the pandemic, of course, we have collaborated on the healthcare sector, and India supplied hydroxychloroquine in the early days of the pandemic at the special request of Argentina. We gave a special exemption for Argentina for export of HCQ and also of paracetamol. Both are very vital medicines. Of course, HCQ was very vital at that point of time. Argentina also reciprocated by supplying more than 250 ventilators as a special exemption for India. In fact, India was the first country to receive such an exemption from Argentina for exports of ventilators. So there has been a close cooperation. There is a vast market in Argentina, and there's much less attention, which I think it's a matter of concern for us in the government, in the embassy here. And I would strongly recommend to Indian Chamber of Commerce, which is hosting today's program, to focus a little bit more on the healthcare sector and encourage Indian producers, Indian players in the sectors to look at Argentina as a vast market. It's a potential market, and we'll be very happy to welcome any kind of queries or visits by Indian players to Argentina. And of course, this embassy also represents India in Uruguay and Paraguay, which are much smaller countries but important markets, again, part of Mercosur. With Mercosur, of course, we have been trying to push for this opening of the sector, healthcare sector. And I would, on behalf of my embassy, would like to invite any queries, any visits, any questions that our producers, our healthcare players may have, and provide you the solutions, the answers, the connections, especially getting you the specific buyers if you have specific products, and deepen our trade with Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay in the field of pharmaceuticals and healthcare. With these words, I wish Indian Chamber of Commerce, its participants, its members, all the very best, and hoping to see you in Argentina at the earliest possible. Thank you so much. Namaskar.